So just first impressions of the team through the first couple weeks of the spring ball.
Oh, there's been just a lot of good. I'm really excited about. The team is really, really coachable. They are intentional in practice. They like to play. It's really obvious. I love how our defense is running to the football. I think the effort side of that has really shown up really well so far. I think offensively, our offense has been doing a good job, kind of marrying what we're trying to marry together from what they've done and how they called things in the past, and then what we're trying to bring to it. And so it's been a lot of fun. It's really, really good stuff. I think I'm excited where we're at. It's just kind of an introductory phase of the kicking game also. So we're off to a great start. Been a ton of energy out there. We've had a lot of great visitors at practice, which has added some fun. Former players. We had Coach Tomey's wife, Nancy Kincaid, out there today. So pretty special.
You coached a lot of great wide receivers. When you look at a guy like T-Mac, what makes him an NFL wide receiver?
To me, he just has the whole package. I think when his ability to separate and play the ball off his feet, he catches the ball, as clean or if not better than anyone I've ever been around. Just for someone that big to have that kind of body control, and when you match that with just like his natural ability, and just how competitive he is, he's a really hard player to defend.
Is there any advice that you give him with the offseason and just going into the season with all the hype and the buzz that he's garnering?
Well, I've been talking with our team a lot because I think there's a lot of that going on for our team, right? There's a lot of hype, there's a lot of buzz, all those things. And, we just keep reminding each other that, like, last year's over and this team's moving forward and it's a different team. And every team changes a little bit and there's some new pieces and obviously a new coaching staff. And so there's a lot of stuff to work through there. And so, but as it pertains more to T-Mac, it's more of the conversation has been like, I'm just trying to help him like really drill down on like just little details, little stuff I see. And the cool thing about him is he has a really high IQ. He's been coached well, by Kevin Cummings. And then also, Bobby's doing a great job with him also. Coach Babers has a wide receiver background and then me. And so there's a lot of eyes on that position group. It's probably a hard group to be in right now because there's so many people watching you. But just those small details of trying to get him to continue to elevate his game every day. And those small tweaks is what we've been doing.
On Tuesday, Coach Carter said that whatever you guys brought over from San Jose, a lot of the verbiage changed because you wanted it to be fit with what you had here rather than what you did there. Is
Right.
that across the board at pretty much every position, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly schematically and how we're calling plays. And so we're taking play calls that they use in the past and, and seeing what our stuff married, or how we can marry that stuff and trying to put I get the pressure or the learning on the coach's side versus the player side, right?
Well, and since you inherited a lot of guys, like that makes sense. But then you did make some additions here through the portal. What were you looking for the ones that you were able to add, and then what are you still looking for?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think some of those things we're still figuring out. We're 5 days in, and so we're kind of trying to figure out like, hey, do we need an extra guy at this position or extra guy at that position? I think with being a little bit thin at the running back position, being able to add quality, and having Bill come in, from New Mexico, like he's not here yet, but he'll be a good addition, and I think you always need more backs than you think you need, right? It's just such a physical game and those guys take such a pounding. So trying to fill out that, that was some of that thought there. And then, some of the other pieces, Trey Smith joining us, he was a really good player for us at San Jose State, and looking for another kind of edge player, is what he gives us. But I think this time of year everybody's looking for the same thing. They're looking for a difference maker looking for a difference maker as a receiver or a corner. They're looking for a defensive lineman and an offensive lineman. Like everybody's looking for those things.
Do you know roughly how many scholarships you have open?
Right now we have, I think, 14.
Go ahead, Jason. How much do you believe in player rotation? There's some coaches that want
three receivers on the field, and there's other ones that kind of want to go through.
I'd say I'm traditionally a guy that's going to play, probably 6 to 7. I want those guys fresh, and I want our best guys to be able to play their best football late in the game. Now, sometimes you got to, ride the fastest horse, and then so sometimes that rotation, depending on how the flow of the game, sometimes that rotation changes based on what you need in that moment. But over my career, I think we've done a good job of getting a lot of guys on the field, because it's also a part of, you want those younger guys to develop, right? And you want them to get in games and to play so that you can accelerate their development. And so I'm always thinking that way with the receiver position. The more football they play, the better they get, the faster they get better.
In terms of the transfer portal, going kind of back to that, a lot of programs usually have 4 or 5 quarterbacks. Right now, you guys have 3. Would you be willing to add just maybe a break glass guy for the season, kind of moving forward?
Yeah, I think we're still evaluating quarterbacks, and I think we're definitely going to add a quarterback or 2 to the group. I think those guys know that, but I feel great about what that group's doing. Right? Obviously, everyone knows about how awesome Noah Fafita is, but I mean, Braden and Cole have done some really good things the last few days and had some good days. So I think, and they're both young, right? They're both freshmen. So I think that group's going to be a lot of fun.
We're about to talk to some guys that you brought over from San Jose State. What can you tell us just about, what they're like coaching them when you were there at San Jose?
They're awesome kids. And, I feel really fortunate that that we were able to get them here. I think that's just like kind of like one of the hard parts I think about college football right now. It's just complicated. But at the same time, we're always looking for guys to add to our program that we think are good people and good players. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like the simplest way to say it. And, those guys are great kids. And we fought some really good fights with them over the years, and we're excited to continue to do it with them.
How much does it help that a lot of these guys on the roster, I think you guys offered first at San Jose State, and you're in that recruiting now, that there's that familiarity with these players, although they've developed throughout the years, there's still that connection that you guys had originally.
Well, I think it helps because it's just not some group of coaches walking in here who they've never seen before or never talked to before. I think some of that just kind of that relationship helps. And then another part of it is because of where we were, like so many, especially the kids from California, so many of those kids, like their teammates played for us at San Jose. And so that's also another point of reference where they can ask their teammates from high school, hey, what are these guys like that came down here? Are they good dudes? Are we going to like playing for them? Like, what's this experience going to be like?
You have a coaches clinic this weekend.
Correct.
With, Hugh Jackson as a guest speaker. What's
Yep.
the connection there?
Yeah, so the connection is Coach Carter. They're both heavily involved with the National Coalition for Minority Football Coaches, something that we've supported as a staff, and Zoe's been in the middle of that and getting that started. It's been we've supported that thing through online Zooms and the West Coast calls, and then also through their conference that happens annually. And Hughes is just a great guy, and obviously a great football guy, and I think he'll be a great speaker, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And we kind of focused on just having one guy like that in this for this clinic, because we also want to use this opportunity for the coaches in Arizona to get to know us and to get to know our staff. And so we wanted to make sure that we didn't kind of flood the market with a bunch of people who aren't working here, because we want that time with the high school coaches in Arizona. We want that time with them, getting to know them and starting to build our relationships with them.
In terms of install and fundamentals, like how are you balancing, okay, I want to install, like is there a percentage that you approach, or how do you kind of go about that?
No, I think that's kind of developed over time, and you have like a little bit of a gauge of how much a team can absorb. And so far, I think we've done a really good job through the first 2 installs, at least offensively, because obviously that's a little bit different, right? It's a little bit cleaner defensively, right? Because the carryover with the system and the scheme and how they're calling it and the verbiage is all what they're used to. But offensively, we've been, like I mentioned earlier, we've been marrying some of those concepts and trying to take the kind of the verbiage and how they called things a year ago and marry them with our concepts and put all those pieces together. But normally if they're making a bunch of mistakes, it's probably too much. Like the cup is full, and as a staff you need to pull back. But so far we've had a pretty good schedule, I would say, in terms of installation, and we've just been an initial install, and then another day of repping the same install, and then the third day having a lot of team interaction. I think we'll play a little bit of live football on Saturday, and seeing how they handle the first 2 installs in a live setting.
Last question. Alexander Deuce so far, and how do you think he's gelled?
Sorry, say that again.
What have you seen from Alexander Deuce so far, and how do you think he's gelled into the mix?
Well, I think that offensive line is a work in progress, and there's some really good players there and really good kids. Big Josh, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to talk to him yet. He's a fantastic football coach, and the cool thing about Big Josh and that O-line group is that they're around all the time. They're always in the building. They're always trying to get extra. They're always trying to learn more. And I think Deuce is going to be one of those guys that's going to be a really, really good player. He's just young, you know what I mean? And I've always said, outside of quarterback, the hardest place to play young is at offensive line, just with all the calls and just the physicality and the multiplicity of what defenses are throwing at you. So it's been good. It's been a good give and take with the offense and defense the last couple of days, and I'm excited to see what Saturday looks like.
All right, that's our time. Thank you.
Thank you all.
We appreciate it.